Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Shipshe Stories Podcast, tales from the heart of Amish Country, where we explore the people, the businesses, the places, and the events happening all around Shipshewana and LaGrange County. Today, we're talking all about a fantastic opportunity and event coming up September 12th and 13th, the Indiana Barn Foundation LaGrange County Barn Tour. We have two guests for today. First up, we have Indiana Barn Foundation board member Randy Miles. He's going to be talking about the Indiana Barn Foundation, the barn tour, how it all got started, and what you can expect to find out when you tour these 8 unique barns. Second up, we were talking with Steve Engleking. He is the owner of the Pretty Valley Barn, a barn headquarters, a place where you need to stop by first to pick up tickets to learn more about this barn tour and the 8 barns you're going to find when you visit on September 13th. So sit back and enjoy this episode of the Shipshe Stories Podcast, all about the Indiana Barn Foundation LaGrange County Barn Tour. Joining us today is coordinator of statewide assessment of heritage barns and board member of the Indiana Barn Foundation, Randy Miles. Randy, hello, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Anytime I can talk about barns, it's a wonderful day.
Exactly. So before we get into the barn tour and everything that is, let's tell us about yourself and how you got started and why you really enjoy, restoring barns and why it's important to talk about them and get people out to tour them.
Okay, thank you. I grew up in Montgomery County, Indiana, on a small farm, and in the 60s and early 70s, there were a lot of heritage barns that were around. At the time when I was young, I didn't realize they were heritage barns and took them for granted. I received 2 degrees in agronomy, my master's and bachelor's at Purdue in agronomy and PhD at Texas A&M in agronomy and soil science, and spent a lot of time agriculturally out on farms, and barns have always been a part of the culture of an area, whether it's in Indiana, northern Indiana, Texas, and then I spent a lot of time in Missouri. And so I'm retired and I've moved back to Montgomery County, and I bought a small acreage, a rural acreage, and had 2 1890s mortise and tenon barns, that one in fairly good shape and one that was in very bad shape. And so I wanted to restore those and bring them back to authenticity of the era in which they were built. And I requested the Indiana Barn Foundation to come out and give an assessment. And that's how I got started with IBF. And the individual, then Duncan Campbell, who was doing that, said, boy, I need some help across the state. Would you like to learn how to assess these? And I spent time with him. And so I got hooked fairly easily. And I have restored my 2 1890s era barns. So it's just a love of the culture and the history. It's part of my DNA, essentially.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we were talking before about your 1890s barns. There's a lot, the 8 that are on this barn tour for LaGrange County, because we want to get people out there to see these barns, to experience these barns. So the barn tour itself, kind of, how did you get involved in, because it's not just LaGrange County, it started way back when at different counties all across Indiana. So how did you get started with that, and then to today where we are at with LaGrange County's barn tour?
Well, being a board member of IBF and then coordinating all of the assessment of heritage barns the last 2 or 3 years when we've had our barn tours around the state, I have been one that have come in and to assess the barns, look at them, et cetera. So this year I got involved in July. Your Sonia and your group graciously hosted my wife and myself looking at the barns and experiencing the culture of LaGrange County, which was wonderful. And so I just love all the barns, and I look at them. And one of the major reasons, too, is that on the barn tour, we always select one of the barns to have what we call a barn lab. And I will be doing that along with one of my other colleagues, of which we will have designated time, in this case, 11 and 2 o'clock on the 13th, where we will go over points of the barn. It's a little bit of its history. Part of the barn's been renovated. There's a need for some other renovations, but just point out characteristics to people, some that are interested in the barn, some that are novice, but we try to put it on an applied level so that everybody gets an idea of how the barn was constructed, what some of its needs will be and strengths, and question and answer as we tour through the barn itself. So It's a lot of fun, and we hope we can get people started in that, asking questions.
Asking questions, that's the whole purpose of this thing, is getting people out there, because it's a unique experience that people don't normally get to do. Unless you're the homeowner or the farmstead owner, people just driving by will see the barns, and I see it a lot out here. They'll stop their car, take a picture of the barn, and then continue driving off. But it's amazing to get to be a part of this tour. And what barn are you going to be at to do that?
I will be at Crooked Gate Farm, and it is one of the older barns there, and it's very unique. And the barn owner has been very, very open about it. And in fact, I'd say all of them there. That is a real plus there. But we'll be there at the Crooked Gate Farm to look at that barn, which is one of the older barns on the tour. It's got hand-hewn members in it, timbers. And the other thing that it has another barn behind it that is a corn crib that is more modern, but that's something I observed at about 3 or 4 of the farm sites is 1930s to 1940s corn crib that been added. And so we'll be able to look at that too. So kind of the old and the newer there, that's been a very strong part of the agricultural heritage of eastern LaGrange County.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in Shipshewana, where you have that, traditional cultural heritage of the Amish community mixed with the more modernity of the Blue Gate Entertainment and all that. And the Crooked Gate Farm is an Amish-owned barn.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Very much.
So, and if you want to bring your kids out, you can pet and feed bunny rabbits, which is one of the best things there. So the owners have rabbits you can hang out with.
That's right.
But again, it's one of 8 total barns that you can see. When you want to start out, you want to head to the Pretty Valley Barn. And after this, I'm going to be talking to Steve Engleking, owner of the Pretty Valley Barn, which you've met.
Yes, and he's been very open and gracious, and that's a beautiful barn also. It's one of the younger barns, but yet it's one that, again, reflects the cultural heritage of that area of the state.
It's one of the only ones, I believe, that's built with concrete.
Yes, it is. Those were designed and came out late 30s and early 40s for dairy production, and they really, again, reflect a lot of aspects of the agricultural heritage of that era.
So I want to ask you, Randy, why is it important that these barns are, put on this heritage trail, this barn tour, and restored and remembered?
Oh, there's many reasons, but to me, the first and foremost is all of these barns are a monument to the cultural history of when much of our land in Indiana was homesteaded. And it is reflective of our, and I know I'm biased, but our agricultural history in Indiana. We always have a soft spot in our heart to restore, let's say, a mansion in downtown Indianapolis or Fort Wayne or something that has historic measures, and that's important. But each and every one of these heritage barns out in the rural countryside reflect the local county heritage. When many of the families came in and homesteaded, some of these barns have been owned by the same family since that land was homesteaded. And that's, I think, very important to keep those retained because, again, it's part of our cultural history. Another thing is these barns are well built. We'll see many of the barns here are mortise and tenon. In other words, many of you call those, we will call those peg based, but they were built by materials that in many cases were probably harvested and used within a mile of where that barn was constructed. Much of the timber was likely taken off from that era. Another aspect is even the old concrete, much of the aggregate that went into the concrete probably came from a stream that ran through that farm. And so the materials were local. And when we talk about buying local, that was the in mode thing back then. And each barn has a unique history and unique architecture in the sense that that barn was built for the family, for that farming operation, much different than many of our modern day barns that are cookie cutter. And the pole barns, a 60 by 40 foot pole barn in Montgomery County, where I live, can be very similar to one that's up there in LaGrange County. But each one of these barns that you're going to see on the farm tour or barn tour are reflective of what that family needed for their agricultural operation at the time of being built, and also based upon the available materials they had there, either on that tract of land or very, very close to them. And then the other thing is many of these barns are 100 years old or older. They've been renovated many times. And again, in the barn lab, we will point out some of the renovations that's happened. We may not know exactly why, but you can see as you've had some experience that typically much of the agriculture got more animal based after the barn was built. And so there's been maybe a barn such as the Crooked Gate may have been renovated 4 or 5 times, some very subtly, some very drastic compared to what it originally was. Again, it was to meet the needs of the farm family there. And in many cases, more animals, as well as during that time, we had mechanization, so storage of equipment that was not around when it was built. So again, there is a story here of not only why it was built and the original needs, but also the needs as agriculture changed for that particular family. And it's so intriguing, and each barn tells a story.
Yeah, exactly. And each owner has a story to tell, whether they've been owning it their entire family history, generational history, or they've given it to someone else. And most, if not all, of these Amish-owned farmsteads are going to be multi-generational owned barns.
Yes.
So that was a very good detailed answer. That was amazing, Randy. Thank you. So we want to get people out on not only the Friday, the September 12th, because there are some pre-events going on in Shipshewana and around town, but also the main day is September 13th from 10 to 5. People want to go and stop at the Pretty Valley Barn first to buy tickets, but they can buy tickets online, and we want to encourage everyone to go buy tickets online first so you can go take a self-guided tour, but stop at the Pretty Valley Barn first before you go anywhere else. And so you've done this tour for, not this tour, but tours all around Indiana. So what would you say to people who might be on the fence, or to get them excited to show up and attend this barn tour?
I could bring up 2 or 3 main points. Number one, if you have some sort of love of barns, or I guess appreciation of barns, go to take a look at the diversity of barns and the story. We'll have a docent at each barn, so we'll have a capsulization of the history. The other thing that I found the first time or two that I was involved as just a member and in the process of renovating my barns, I would be standing next to another barn owner or enthusiast like myself, and they would ask me a question, and then they'd say, well, I renovated my barn 2 years ago. Well, I wanted to ask them questions to find out, in some cases, what not to do, or find out what they did and was successful. So there's not only what you see at the barn, but you have other fellow barn lovers of many backgrounds that you can get some ideas there. And in fact, as I perform barn assessments, I learn new things, and I wish I could have done that on my barn 2 years ago. And so there's a lot of that. The other one is that many of these barns are being repurposed beyond just the traditional, purpose that they had when they were built, but many of them may be a family event center, kind of a memorial to the family. We've had some of those. Another one might be an event center for weddings and such. That has become a very popular item. And then another one, a reason is and this is the first time in at least recent times we have one. We have a spot, or one of the barns is called the hay barn. And that is one that the structure was, the original barn was in Ohio. And again, it's a mortise and tenon barn, a heritage barn. It was disassembled in Ohio, transported here, and has been then reassembled and put up. Now, the outside of it is a more modern metal siding, but it's going to be an event center. But it is one that I'm finding, as head of assessment, we're getting a lot of inquiries about, I'm going to be selling my acreage. I don't want to see the barn go to waste. Do we know of someone who might want to buy it, disassemble it, and move it to a tract of land? And I would just advise that one, we're getting more and more of an inquiry. And it's one of those things that we want to educate people on some of the possibilities, and the fact that if you're going to do that, you have to take more than a month. It takes about a year for the process, but it can be done, and it can be done successfully, and again, repurposed and still be in use, because again, it's part of our historic culture. Even though that one came from mid-Ohio, there's still many great aspects to show there. And so, again, we want to keep the learning process going. Even though the site's a different site, there's still a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, exactly. And I had the hay barn pulled up because I wanted to talk about it specifically, because when they transported it from Ohio to here, they used a few original pieces, but they also had a local sawmill in LaGrange County cut out wood pieces to help reinforce and restore it as well. So you're getting that history and that culture from LaGrange County still, where these original pieces were found when they built the barns, and more modern construction as well.
Yes, even though the construction method in many ways is very similar because of the mortise and tenon and some of the what we call scarf joints in there, but we're retaining the history and retaining the viability. And in fact, I want to go on record that this mortise and tenon, the peg-based barns, are something, they were there before trusses were. And much of this technology of the mortise and tenon came from Europe, or the old countries, as many people would say. And some of the barns in those areas are 400 or 500 years old and have, of course, been well maintained. But because of the technology, it is a very solid, very sustainable technology. And we want to keep that going here with some maintenance and some loving care.
Yeah, exactly. Randy, this has been insightful and educational for me, and I hope for a lot of people listening. If there's anything you'd like to say about the barn tour before we end, just go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, I think you can make out of it what you want to, but just come out, take a look. In each one of these, you'll be able to go inside. A barn is very similar to a book. You can't necessarily judge the barn by outside, but you need to go in because that's where the unique characteristics are. and many of the heritage stories. And so we would love to have you there. We would love for you to look, ask questions. That's why we're here. And again, it's part of the local heritage. It's fun, and there's a lot to learn. And I want to put a shout out to all the people in Shipshewana and LaGrange County. The hosts, the convention bureau center, etc., have been very, very hospitable. All the barn owners have been very open. They want to learn more, and they have a lot of pride in what they've done, particularly the ones that have been in the family a long time. And I understand that. I come from an agricultural background and rural heritage, and it's just been a delightful journey. And we'd love for people to join us on that journey and learn and be joyful.
Yeah, exactly. It is a wonderful family-friendly environment. It's a full day, 10 to 5, September 13th. Tickets available online, $20 if you're not a member of the Indiana Barn Foundation, $15 if you are. And there's food. We'll have food trucks. We'll have drink trucks. We'll have education, information, and come on down, bring the family, bring your dog, whatever, just have a good time exploring the outdoors, exploring LaGrange County, Shipshewana, and these 8 historic barns. Randy, it's been truly an honor to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and it's been an honor to be part of the show and the LaGrange and Shipshewana area, because it's one that I had not been, even though a native of Indiana, I had not been in that area a lot except to see a couple barns here and there. I've learned a lot, and I'll tell you, my wife and I will be coming back. So because there's so many things to see and do, and a lot more barns to see too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're happy to have you back anytime. See some barns, take you out to an Amish dinner, to a show at the Blue Gate, whatever you need.
Oh my, don't tempt us that much. But it's just been very, very great and very joyful.
Yeah, no, it's a joyous place. It's a fun place. There's unique things happening every day here in Shipshewana and LaGrange County. But really, the main point of this episode, get out to that barn tour, September 13th. Buy tickets today. They are available. You don't want to have them sell out so you miss out on this opportunity. It's a once a year thing, and this happens, the barn tour happens all throughout Indiana, but it's happening in LaGrange County this one time. So please come out, see us all at the CVB, come hang out with Randy, and just explore all these unique heritage sites around LaGrange County.
Yes, I couldn't summarize it any better.
Awesome, Randy. Thank you so much. Today we're hanging out with Steve Engleking, retired extension educator and owner of the Pretty Valley Barn. So Steve, you're the first stop. The Pretty Valley Barn is the barn tour headquarters. But before we get into that, I always like to ask everyone about themselves. So tell me a little bit about you, your background, your history.
All right, sure, Dorian. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to visit and talk about some things here. I was a Purdue Extension agriculture educator in the county for 28 years and just retired a couple of years ago. Before that, I was a high school VOAG teacher. So I've got a background in agricultural education for almost 44 years and moved into LaGrange County in January of 1995 and moved to this place in April of 1995, rented for a couple of years and then ended up buying the 7.5 acres and the buildings. And so the barn at my farm, Stead, is an iconic barn. People talk about it and things. It's one that it's kind of a round roof type of a thing. And so anyhow, it's just really cool. But married, I got 2 kids and 2 grandkids now. So we like to spend time with them.
Sure, yeah. And I'm sure they like exploring the barn as well.
Yes.
When they get the chance.
Yep.
So you were talking to me before we started rolling. The unique thing about the Pretty Valley Barn, again, built in the 1940s,
right?
Originally used to house 40 to 60 cows.
Jersey cows. Smaller frame dairy cow, so it was designed for them.
Yeah, but the unique thing about it, among many, was it was built with concrete.
Yes.
Instead of, the more traditional wood frame. So you didn't build it, obviously. It was built before you got there. So take us back. You were telling me about the unique history of it and how it came to be.
The fellow that helped build it delivered office supplies to my office one day, and he came into the office, sat down with me and says, I want to talk to you about your barn. And it was so cool. He talked about it. And when they built that barn, of course, they mixed the concrete by hand, and they built ramps, and they wheeled the concrete up with wheelbarrows up these ramps to pour the walls and then to build the frame for the floor to the haymow or ceiling. So it was quite an enterprise to build that barn. And the milk house, which won't be open when we have the tour, but it was really progressive. It had 3 rooms in it at the time, milk storage, an office, and a bathroom in the 40s for the farm folks. Yeah, that's incredible, isn't it?
Really?
And it had a mechanical gutter inside, and they would take the manure out and dump it into a manure spreader north side of the barn. And of course, that's all been filled in since, but the gutters are still there. All the mechanisms are gone and the pipelines and stuff. But I use the barn now just to store stuff in for my lawnmower and things like that.
Sure. So I got to go back to the bathroom being inside there. Is that still there originally?
No.
Or that's all gutted too?
That's all gutted.
So,
milk house is all opened up, and it's my workshop now.
Sure. Do you have any old pictures or videos of back when it was original? So, So when people come, they're going to get like the full-on experience that instead of just driving by and seeing it on the side of the road.
You'll be able to see the inside of the main part of the barn. Yeah, the lower part.
Set the scene for Saturday, the 13th of September. People come up. What are they going to expect? What are they going to be able to do?
I'll be there just to Q&A, question and answer, and talk about the barn. People have questions. I'd rather go that way instead of a formal presentation because it's going to be all day long. Folks can kind of drive and stop in and check each of these locations out as they want and pick and choose and things. It is the headquarters barn. As I understand, there's going to be a author of a book that's going to be at my farm.
Yes, there will be.
And we're going to have some vendors. There's going to be a taco truck, I think, and stuff there, and some drinks. Coffee is going to be there. I think Coffee and Cream from down South Milford is going to be set up there. And so it'll be just an opportunity to hang out. And
So, I mean, they get to hang out. They get to actually walk inside the barn itself.
Yes.
And you talking off before we started rolling. There is an upstairs section, but they're not going to be able to go upstairs, obviously, for safety reasons.
For safety reasons, there are bats up there and stuff. I just don't want people to have a risk with that. Neighbor of mine to the west has a barn similar in construction to mine. And as I understand, they will be able to get into the upper level of that one because it's built on a bank, and so I can open that up and see that. But again, the uniqueness of it is all the lower part is poured concrete, including the floor to the haymow. And so that is, I grew up baling hay as a teenager and stuff. Never saw a barn like this. And when I came up here and moved here, my dad came and visited. He brought his brothers and uncles up here. They had to see this barn.
So it's a centerpiece throughout its entire life, is what you're saying. So when you talked to the guy who sold you the land and sold you the barn, did he have any stories he told you? He just kind of said, here you go, this is the barn for you. And have you done anything in the years since to update or renovate or do anything like that to the barn?
Not really. No, it's just, again, it's just storage for me. I haven't had livestock and things like that. So
no more Jersey cows.
No,
nothing. Just bats inside.
Bats which is great because they eat mosquitoes. I love having bats there, and I've got barn swallows that roost in the eaves of the barn too. So I've got bats and barn swallows, and I don't have a mosquito problem in my house.
So people, listen up to this. You're not going to have mosquitoes when you come out in this beautiful September day. We're hoping it's not going to rain. The weather's going to be nice. You get to experience the great outdoors. Grab yourself a coffee, get some food. There's no bathroom in the barn anymore, but we're having porta potties out there, so you don't have to worry about that. You can come out, meet Steve, pick up a copy of the Adventures of a Farm Girl book. Is there anything else about the barn or your background in agricultural, Steve, you want to talk about?
Well, of course, I was a high school ag teacher for 16 and a half years and FFA and things like that. And decided it was time to graduate and came into extension. And so I worked with farmers in the area here, master gardeners and farmers. And of course, LaGrange County is the number one county in the state as far as numbers of farms. And there's small farms with the Amish population we've got. So I've worked integrally with the Amish over the years. And so my focus in extension was small farm education. And it just fit the county and everything. So it was so enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, 70% of Indiana's farms are up in this location in northern Indiana. So
as far as number of farms,
yeah. So really, this barn tour is a big deal here. It's just getting out to see these historic barns. Would you have to say there's a favorite thing about owning this barn, or something that, like, a memory that is kind of touching your heart deeply about this barn?
Just the fact that people talked about it being an iconic barn in the community, the fact that when I moved in here and my family, my uncles and things since passed on, my dad was so enamored with this barn that he brought them up to visit. And they're 2.5 hours away, all of them. And so they'd come to visit and they wanted to see the barn and things like that. So it just was that, and just the fact that I guess having this place to me has been enjoyable, because growing up on a farm as a kid, spending hour upon hours on the tractor, seat of a tractor, doing field work and stuff. Now I mow, and I'm mowing about 5 acres of the 7.5. So it's kind of my connection back to the
original origins of it. And it's 7.5 acres. So when people come out, are they free to explore, or is it just get them into that barn?
Basically, the be at the barn and stuff. We park there in the grass south of the barn, between the barn and the Quonset. There's a drive to the north and a drive to the south, 275. There's a drive off of that. So just to kind of look around the lower part of the barn.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
because I've got some other farm equipment there from a fellow that rents off of me. I don't want people to get injured around some of that.
Yeah. So another really important question. This whole barn tour came about because of the restoration and restoring old barns from the Indiana Barn Foundation. That's what they do. That's their whole purpose, is going throughout Indiana, finding these barns, bringing them back. So why is it important to you that barns like the Pretty Valley Barn and other barns on this tour are recognized and restored and seen as places of agricultural heritage?
It's important to remember our roots, and the fact that as farms consolidate and people, grow these farms and stuff, and larger machinery and things like that, we are losing barns, and they're getting in disrepair. And then when they get in disrepair, then sometimes the only solution is to raze them, to knock them down, to burn them or whatever, and get rid of them. That is an important part of Indiana history and agricultural history in the Midwest. And these barns have been a big part of that. So we need to preserve that for the future to see.
Is there anything you'd like to say to people coming out to get them excited, to build kind of that, desire to come out to see the barn? This is the first thing. No one's ever done this at your barn, to my knowledge, right?
Right. It is a unique barn. It's kind of a rounded roof barn. You don't see many of those.
No, not at all.
And things. So
yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity to get outdoors, bring the family, bring the kids. The kids will love exploring, running around, not only the barns, but just exploring the agricultural heritage and culture of LaGrange County.
Right.
It is happening Friday, September 12th and Saturday, September 13th. Some events happening before to build kind of that excitement to it.
Right.
But the main day is Saturday, the 13th.
And the thing is, Friday, the festivities are focused on around Shipshe,
yes,
which is a half an hour away from where I'm at on the east side of the county, southeast. The Saturday part of the tour, there are 8 barns that are within 8 miles, I believe, of my barn on the southeast part of LaGrange County near Stroh, Indiana.
Yeah. So, and we say it's the headquarters, which means it's the first stop on everyone's radar. It's the place where you pick up tickets. It's the place where you register.
And they can buy tickets online too, I believe.
They can buy tickets online right now. So it's easy. You don't have to show up at Pretty Valley Barn to buy tickets. You can do it online, but we invite you to come to the Pretty Valley Barn because it is the first stop. And again, it's just a beautiful, wonderful experience. It takes you back to a time when, you imagine your grandparents owning this barn, driving around their wagons or tractors and stuff. It's a great opportunity. It only comes around once a year.
Well, the Barn Foundation has a tour annually in different parts of the state. Last year, as I understand it, it was in Shelby County near Indianapolis. And so they move this around. So it might be something to look for in the future as other places in the state.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially you go southern Indiana where they've had old tobacco barns and some of that stuff. That would be cool.
You're very knowledgeable about all the barns, Steve. Yeah. Because I know you said your neighbor to the west. I believe that's the honeybee farm.
Right.
Yes. So they've got honeybees. You can go see that. There's a Percheron horse farm. There's a few Amish-owned barns you can see. 8 in total. Come out, make it a full day on Saturday, but come out Friday to explore all the events in Shipshe.
A barn to the south of me was one that was deconstructed in another location and brought and reconstructed. And so I think they call it the hay barn.
The hay barn, yes. Yeah, it's just a great day to bring the family out, enjoy a full day. It is happening all morning until about 5. Steve, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dorian.
And do not forget, we want everyone to come out here, buy tickets early, buy them online. You can go to visitshipshewana.org and search Barn Tour. The Indiana Barn Foundation LaGrange County Barn Tour is happening on Saturday, September 13th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. with pre-events happening Friday, September 12th. This is a one-day only event that features open houses of 8 heritage barns in the scenic countryside in the heart of Amish Country, Indiana. And we want you to start your tour at the Pretty Valley Barn, which is the event headquarters. You have to start your tour there. If you don't have tickets, you can pick them up there or buy them online. You're free to enjoy the self-guided tour at your own pace and leisure, but be sure, stop by the Pretty Valley Barn first and then see all of the 8 barns on the tour from 10 to 5. There'll be food and drink trucks out at these locations, so bring the whole family on September 13th, the Indiana Barn Foundation LaGrange County Barn Tour. We hope to see you there.